Hey guys, and what a beautiful Tuesday morning it is. So I thought this morning would be as good a day as any other to basically tell you guys the story of why I am in this shed. I'm like, wait a minute. People know I live in a shed and all that, but they probably think I'm just some kook or some weirdo, and they're like, why is she living in a shed? So don't think I just woke up one day and I wanted to live in a shed. No, that's not how it worked. For all of you who don't know, I run my own company. Used to make over $200,000 a year. Money will not make you happy, but boy, a little of that would really help me right now. I wish I had saved just a penny, right, guys? So anyway, on with my story. I got a lot to do today, so I tend to ramble on and go off on my tangent, so I'm going to try to stay straight on track today. Sorry I haven't done a video in a while. I've been under a lot of stress. I've had a lot of depression. I used to think that depression was a really fake thing, but you know what, guys? It's really real. It's real. Maybe I was in denial, but yeah, I tend to get pretty depressed sometimes. I think I have a way of self-coping that nobody else does. I mean, I've been through so much, guys, that I don't even tell people anymore because it doesn't even sound real. I, to this day, could not give my testimony and left a very good program at the rescue mission, Changing Lives Center, with awesome counselors and an awesome director and really great girls that supported me and loved me, and I just fought against everybody. And I ended up running away because that's what I've done my whole life, is run away. So again, I would like to go off on my little tangent and say that, you know what, guys, you guys are a great program. And for any of you women out there that are out there struggling with addiction or just needing a change in your life, now it is a big change. I was there 90 days, and let me tell you, a lot of girls just leave. They can't even hack the first week, the first couple days. I mean, you got to go to church every day. You get put on a schedule. It's tough love. But you get a beautiful, your own apartment with another girl. I mean, it's just an awesome program. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I did what I did, and now I'm living with what I have to. So let me go on with my story. So after I left that program, I went back to Cass, went back to the street. After spending the night in some wet grass, I figured I can't live this way anymore. I'd been kicked out of Cass. It was just awful. I mean, if you get kicked out of the homeless shelter, I mean, if living on the street is better than a homeless shelter, that should tell you something. Anyway, I got up that day and I went to a job fair at Chase Field, and I ended up getting hired at Chase Field for Levy Restaurants. So that was a really great job and everything, but you know what? I was living a dual life. See, a lot of the people there at Levy didn't understand what I was having to live through. At that time, I had been living in an abandoned house. It was the nastiest place I'd ever seen. We're talking full of cockroaches, just trash and drug paraphernalia and people that had defecated, on the ground and in corners and rotten wood and just, it was awful. But see, all the other homeless people were in a wide open house, and every time the police would come, and at the time I was dating this guy, he had a warrant out for his arrest, and so we kicked a little hole in the wall, and we would crawl in and out, and all the other homeless people would be like, no, you got to open it up because it's too hot, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, no, that's how the police know you're there, guys. No. So like the 4 times the police came, my boyfriend and I would be sitting in the house because the police would come and they'd shine the flashlight and they'd be like, oh, well, this house hasn't been broken into, because we used our smarts, guys. A lot of homeless people out there, no offense to you guys, but they just don't use their brains. So we'd be listening to them and they'd be like, gosh, how can you guys live here? Look at all this. And they'd be laughing at the people, and we'd just be like, my boyfriend would be like, shh, because he had a warrant out. I mean, it was just a horrible way to live, okay? Very horrible way to live. So what I would do is I would go to Chase Field and I would work, but before I went to Chase Field, I'd have to go run and go to a bathroom and wash up and put on makeup and look all fresh and look like, I mean, you wouldn't believe the change, like how good I could look compared to what kind of life I was living. So anyway, someone ended up turning me in for living in that house, like ratting on me, and the next place to move was an abandoned hotel, because even though I was working at Chase Field, guys, the Diamondbacks work 1 week and then they're off the next, and so you only get like 10 days of pay. You get paid every 2 weeks. So I remember the $250 I made on one check, I just paid for a hotel room for the week. And then when that money ran out, I was on the street. So that's what, continued my cycle of being on the street. So I moved to 24th Street from like 16th Street in Adams to 24th Street in Jefferson and was living at the Sterling Hotel, which was even worse. Okay, there were fires there were rapes there were, let's just put it this way, I got drugged there, sexually assaulted there, shot in the head there, and then had a guy come to my room one night and tried to get in, and I told him no. And then the next day my friend and I went out and we found that same guy, butt ass naked on the ground, dead. So I've had to live with that. Like, I've had to live with a lot of things like, oh my gosh, had I let the guy in, would he be alive today? But, I shouldn't have to live with that, you know what I mean? But needless to say, I just packed up my stuff. After the dead body, that was it. I could take the fire, I could take everything else. I mean, there was one time, guys, get this. There was one time, because the way it is, it's all boarded up, right? So at night it's cool because you can lock the door. You board up the window and then you lock the door and you're safe in there. No one can get in there, usually, unless they break in. Like, they really have to break in. But you're pretty much safe. But when I'd go to work, I'd have to find a way to lock the window or lock the door or, rig it just a way so that I could get in. And it didn't work that way one day. And the other homeless people stole my black skid-proof work shoes. Like, why would they want those shoes? And I remember having to call Levy Restaurants and call the line and say, hey guys, I can't come into work because the other homeless people stole my shoes. I mean, wow, guys, really? So that's what I was having to deal with, and it was really embarrassing. Anyway, long story short, after 5 months of working at that job, I got let go, and after finding the dead body at that hotel, I just packed all my stuff and moved to Tempe, because I'm going to tell you something, Tempe is just beautiful, and I can't say enough about it, okay? Besides the jets overhead every 2 minutes, okay? And not understanding these other homeless people, because let me tell you something, you get really spoiled out here. The food out here is amazing. The police officers, let's go there. Oh my gosh, I never thought I'd be saying good things about police officers, but the Tempe police are just absolutely amazing. Okay, police officers are supposed to be neutral, but let me tell you, each and every time a police officer has been called out here in Tempe for me, and I've been scared, they've sided with me every time, or they've been like a father. They've been like, come on, secure your property, and the neighbor called on you, and I'm not supposed to tell you this, but the neighbor called on you, and just secure your property, and I'm just like, damn, they're so nice, guys. Like, or they have a heart-to-heart with me, or they ask me how I got on the street. Most cops don't care. And that's one thing. I just love everything about Tempe. The atmosphere. I mean, yeah, you might have to worry about a couple of drunk kids here and there, but you know what, guys? It's a utopia here compared to what I was putting up with. So anyway, I was supposed to not go off on my tangents, and I'm going to try to get straight to the point. So I left there, came to Tempe, and in Tempe there really is no place for you to live. You usually go over the bridge, over where Beach Park is, and you live in the desert, okay? Which is not really safe, and with the way people steal out here, the other homeless people, I mean, your stuff is always missing. So one day, another homeless person had showed me this shed. And let me tell you, I have cleaned it up like you wouldn't believe. It didn't have a door in it. It was full of rotted papers, trash, drug paraphernalia, molded clothes. I mean, it was just layers and layers. The yard was so bad that there were like layers of like tools and roofing equipment like in the grass. The grass had grown through shopping carts. I mean, I'm like, gosh, this property's been just sitting alone. Like, it didn't make any sense to me how right off a very major street in Tempe, this house had been abandoned for years. So I'm like, wow, very interesting. But then I got to thinking, after this person showed me, I was like, I could live here, you guys. I could clean it up. I could put a door in it. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's abandoned, so, I take the risk of the owner coming, but, it looks like it's been empty for a long time. So before I put the door on one day, I'm sitting in here, and I had cleaned up like about half of it, and I started cleaning up the property, and a guy walks in because I didn't have a door, and I'm like, oh crap, man, I gotta get this door put on. And I go, who are you? And he was an older gentleman, and he goes, who are you? And I go, oh no, are you the owner? And he said, yeah. He goes, you cannot live here. And I said, I just started breaking down. I just started crying. I'm like, sir, please. I have nowhere else to go. Like, he goes, you don't understand. I've had nothing but trouble with the other homeless people. They broke into the house. I had to turn off the water. They were taking advantage. And I said, listen to me. He goes, I have a fine from the city of Tempe for my yard just being overgrown. This was my mother's house. She died over 3 years ago. And my wife and I live on the other side of town. We just let this house go. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I don't know if it's sentimental or what it is. Why doesn't he just sell it or rent it out? But that's neither here nor there. He told me how homeless people had broken into the house, told the neighbors how they were planning on buying it, but they weren't. They'd actually broke in, and it was just a mess. It was an absolute mess, and I saw the mess, the absolute mess, and I can show you guys some of the leftover mess that I've had to deal with from these people. So, what makes me really sad is this poor lady, all her life, like, however old she was an elderly lady, but her whole life it was put into this house. Maybe that's why her son hasn't sold it. I don't blame him, but and it was just like totally desecrated, guys. I mean, her whole memory just completely desecrated. All her stuff, everything that meant anything to her, just totally ruined and destroyed, and that really bothered me. So anyway, long story short, the guy came by. This was way back at the end of August, beginning of September. I started living here, and the guy did not come until about, I believe it was like October 16th he came. And when he walked through that door, and he's like, okay, well, you could stay here a short time, after I cried and all that. And I tried to convince him, I'm like, I could be your Rottweiler of the property, I'll make sure that none of the homeless people break it in. Let me tell you, I've stayed really true to that word. So that's how long I've been here. I've been here quite a long time, and I've grown pretty attached to my shed. You tend to get attached to things. I was even attached to my alleyway at 51st Avenue in McDowell. I know that sounds very ghetto, but it's just what happens, guys. Because you feel like it's something that somebody can't take away. Now, the shed, it can be taken away. But here's the deal. We made an agreement, and he came about 6 days in a row, and he would come and he'd knock on the door, and he'd be like, are you going to go buy beer? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go buy beer, and I would leave, because I told him I was going to do all the work, and he'd act like he was doing something, using a little weed eater, and I could tell, whatever, he didn't want to do it. So, but he'd come out, and he kept coming out faithfully every day, and I kept telling him, hey, I'm going to get the back gate done, I'm going to get your whole yard done. And on the 6th day, I said, you know what, you're giving me permission to live here, but I might need a letter from the police, for the police in case they come here, or how about a phone number? Like, I can get a hold of you in case there's a fire here, or God forbid, the homeless people break into your house again, because I actually live in the shed behind the property, behind the house. And he's like, no, I don't have a phone. I don't believe in phones, and I just don't have a phone. And that was like the first day I'd asked him. The second day I was like, are you sure you don't have a phone? He's like, no, I just don't have a phone. I don't believe in phones. And all of a sudden, bing, bing, you hear a phone ringing in his pocket. And I'm like, and he walks off. Then he comes back, and he found some shoes, buried in, underneath the grass. And he's like, look, I found a pair of shoes. You might like these. And I said, stop, right there. I said, listen, you want me to be honest with you, but you're not being honest with me. Okay, you have a phone, you won't give it to me. And then he explained to me that, his wife didn't know I was here and all this. And he's an older gentleman, and he just didn't want the problem. So, I guess it was a mutual symbiosis, that we were supposed to help each other or whatever, but he has not been back since October 16th. And here's the deal. This is the stress I'm under, because the way it is he turned the water off of the house because of what the other homeless people had done. But I guess in order to leave a property legal or something, you have to pay the taxes and leave at least one, either the electricity, one utility on. So he left the electricity on. And when he was out here, I noticed that he had an extension cord and was using a weed eater, or trying to. And I said, it's kind of hot. Do you mind if I use, run a cord from the house to the shed and I put a fan on? And he's like, no, I'd rather you not do that, because there's other units that are hooked up that, old air conditioner units on the house that just that are broken, that just drain the electricity. But anyway, when he didn't come back and all that, I remember running one electric cord and just charging my phone and thinking, oh my gosh, how much is that going to cost? Everyone told me that's not going to cost a lot, but needless to say, I plugged in a fan. Then in the wintertime, I had a heater. And now in the summertime, I have an air conditioner. And every month, he has paid the bill. But I've been very frugal, or tried to be. Now, the more comfortable I get here, I tend to use a little more. And I have no job now. I do have, some money in savings. It's not a lot, okay? It's just been a paycheck. And basically, I'm trying to put that aside, but then my phone bill comes up, so I got to pay that, or food, or... This is why I have my GoFundMe account, guys, because I really do need the help. I'm not just piddling the money away or wasting it away, okay? I want you guys all to know that. I really want you to know that. And for all of you who have helped me, thank you very, very much, because it's really, really come in handy. And I am working on getting a job. It's not like I'm sitting back doing nothing, okay? So that's my stress, and that's what I'm under, and that's why I got up early today, because I've kind of let the property go, and my agreement was that I would keep the property clean. So I figured I will continue getting ready and show you guys what I have to do for this property. So now you guys know the story of how I got here and why I'm here. So is it my shed? I feel like it is. He hasn't been back forever, but basically it's not. And you guys know that I live with, the fear every day that he could come at any time and say, you've used way too much electricity. That's why I need money in my GoFundMe. That's why I need a job. I need money put aside so I can say, here, sir, I have the money for the electric bill, or so that I can leave here and go somewhere else, guys. But I'm kind of stuck. But do you see where this is a lot better? It's a secured property, and maybe an abandoned property, but I have a locked shed, you guys, with a halfway roof over my head. It's better than the way, the other homeless people have to live out there. And sorry, I'm putting my shoes and socks on so I can show you guys the yard. But, it's better than the way they have to live. So I think I'm going to cut the video off right now so I can get ready, and I will have part 2 showing you what I need to do. There's a lot of work to be done here, and believe you me, I wish I would have taken a video in the beginning to show you guys. I've come a far way, so thank you guys for listening, and this is Jordan's Journey signing off. Please, for all of you who are religious or even aren't religious, just keep me in mind and say a prayer for me. I'm going to put my GoFundMe out there again, and if anybody can help, please, I beg you, please help me. Thank you. Bye. Peace out.